So definite integral, we know how to do a geometric integral. Um, so you have to be able to see, to understand how AP exam is gonna word it. So in AP exam, they would usually give you a particular style question, and that AP exam sometimes will give you a question in terms of form of table. That's one of the most common kind. Is they give you a table and they want you to figure out a slope between two lines or whatever. They will give you a graph, and they will give you an equation. So this is a form of questions, and usually involve either table or graph or equation. So let's start. We're gonna talk about tables. What if I give you a function as a table? So I can give you a function as a table, or I can give you a function as a graph, or I can give you a function as an equation. Okay, so that's three different type of way, and this has been consistently happen from algebra 2, algebra 1, pre-calculus, SAT. It's been a lot of time. So sometimes they give you a table, says finding a slope on SAT, right? Or find an equation of the line based on the table, right? So this happened already. It's not something you never seen. It just form a question. They can give you equation in terms of table, graph, or equations. That's the most consistent format they usually testing give you this type of variations. Okay, and if you think that in physics does that too, in calculus does that too, in chemistry does that too. So it's math. So what if I give you a table? So there's two type of things. So they are if it's table, they usually have a regular interval or irregular interval. And so that's two popular situation. You got regular interval and irregular interval. So regular interval means each distance are the same. So each x distance are the same. So I think this is each x distance are the same. And each x distance are different. This is more popular. So this happen more in regular. So you have to take account into the thing. So what I'm gonna say is this. I'm gonna give you a x and f of x, right? And I'm gonna give you some tables, values. I'm gonna make up those values. I'll make up those values. So I'm gonna just say I can give you two forms. So I'm gonna in term of say it's 1 is gonna be 5. That's 3 is 10. And 5 is sorry, not 5. So 5 is 7, and 7 is 3, and we're just gonna write like this. Actually, let me give you one more unit. 9 and 8, something like that. So we get this function represent in terms of table, and we say we can ask you a lot of questions. We can ask you, hey, I want to find integration of f of x from 1 to 9 and using a Riemann sum. So at first that you want to break this down, you say, okay, well, it's actually fairly easy. There's few different type. So I'm going to talk about a few different type of Riemann sum. One is left hand approximation. Left hand Riemann sum, sorry, Riemann sum. Okay. Left, or they call it left Riemann sum. Okay. And there is, we almost there. So
Wait, Mr. How do you spell it?
Riemann, Rieman, I think. That's a person's name. The second one is the right. The third one is gonna be the trapezoid. And that's why and the actually trapezoid, which is gonna call trapezoid rule. The fourth one is gonna be midpoint rule. So this one is only happen with a regular interval. So regular interval. Okay, so what's left hand approximation? Is to approximate the integral using the left endpoint. And so first of all, you gotta learn how to draw. A lot of time math people is actually people can do math well is they know how to draw diagrams. I know it sounds weird the same, is like drawing diagram is so important actually. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw this, and I'm gonna draw it with based on the perspective. So I'm gonna say, hey, let me draw this function as much as I can. So remember, I can convert a table to the graph. And I'm gonna say 1, and I'm gonna say this is, I'm gonna say this is 5, like this. I'm gonna write down a 5 on top of point. I'm not gonna use scale because a lot of time your paper doesn't have a scale. So you don't have, like me, have a graphing paper on your test, you don't have it. So you're gonna have to scratch on things based on that. And I'm gonna go 3, and this one's not too bad, so it's gonna be double. So that's gonna be, let's say it's 10. Right, it's double the height. And 5 is gonna be 2 and 7, so we're gonna write down 7. And that 7 is gonna be 3. So 3 is something like this. It's much less than 5. Is that okay? And at 9, it's gonna be 2 and 7 and 10, so it's gonna be like 8. I put up the point right next to it and make my life easier. So this is my function, f of x. I want to figure out area under the curve because I want to find integral. So first thing, it says, hey, left hand approximation. A left hand approximation, the way you draw a picture is draw a rectangle based on the left end points. So I'm going to show you, how to do left first. So left, Riemann sum. I'm gonna base on the left, so the left is gonna be using red. So I'm gonna use, actually, I'm gonna use blue. It's based on here, and if it's based on here, now do you realize I did not use 8? Because I use there's a 4 interval, right? And there's a 5 points. I'm gonna use 4 leftmost to figure out this area in the curve. Are we okay so far? So now all we gotta do is multiply the area, which is really easy. It's the easiest part of the calculus. Everybody in this room can do it. It doesn't matter how bad you are at math. So we know the base is 2. The height is what? 5. So the first one is going to be 2 times 5. Plus, what's the second one? 2 times 10, right? Is that okay? Plus 2 times what? 7. Plus 2 times 3. And that's it. On AP exam, you can write like this, and they still give you a point. You don't have to evaluate it. You just write out like this. Now, in math competition is different. Math competition, you have to evaluate it because you have to write down the final answer. But on AP exam, FRQ goes, you can write like this. And that's the multiple choice. The multiple choice, you have to evaluate. But for us at FRQ, you write like this, it's done. So most of the time, if you don't have time on the test, just write out like this. Left-hand approximation. Now, can you tell me what's the difference between left-hand approximation and right-hand approximation?
You include the 8.
You what?
Include the sum of the.
You including the 8, but not including what? 5. Yeah, the 1, the height at 1. Yeah. So here, if I were to use the right-hand approximation, then the second one is going to be right-hand approximation. It's going to be, well, it's 2 times 5. No, 2 times, we're going to go backwards. So 2 times 8 plus 2 times what? 3 plus 2 times 7 plus 2 times 10. The reason being is going to be this rectangle is going to look like this. I use different color markers so you guys can see it. So do you realize I use a little bit different? I can average those both. If you average those, it's going to be a trapezoid. But this is the midpoint rule. This is a right endpoint rule. That means I'm going to left out the left side endpoints. I'm only use 4 right endpoints. So I only use this one, this one, this one, this one. Do you see what I'm saying? If the left end, then it's going to use the 4 left end. And this type of stuff that I think Alex is going to get it really quickly because he's actually very visual. Like visual kind of just makes sense. Okay, so left and right is not a big problem, right? So then what is trapezoid? Well, trapezoid is exactly what it says. So please, some people, when we talk about trapezoid before, some people talk about as a rectangle and triangle. I think that was Alden. He's telling me rectangle and triangle. Please don't say that. It's trapezoid. Okay, so now you're gonna base that. You're gonna draw a trapezoid. You're gonna base on that. You're gonna draw a trapezoid. So the trapezoid is gonna look like this. So let me erase this part. The trapezoid is gonna look like a little bit like this. So I'm gonna use this. The trapezoid is going to be like this. This is a trapezoid. I'm going to use black so that way you can see. This is a trapezoid. Trapezoid is better because it's more accurate, right? It has less room of error. So a trapezoid, basically, you're just going to say, okay, well, what's trapezoid formula? Do you guys remember what's trapezoid formula? There we go. So can you write down third one says B1, which is 5, plus 10 divided by 2 times 2. Is that okay? Ashley, is that okay? Is base 1, base 2, divided by 2 times the height. The height in this case is from here to here. This is the height. Height of the trapezoid. And we're going to plus the second one. 10 plus 7 over 2 times the 2. Is that okay? Plus 7 plus 3 over 2 times 2. Plus 3 plus 8 over 2 times 2. And if you write out like this on AP exam, also give you a point. You don't have to evaluate. You don't have to spend time evaluating unless this is multiple choice. So at first, you're trying to evaluate first. So we talk about left, right, trapezoid. We're going to talk about midpoint now. The problem midpoint in this particular case is you want a middle of 2 points. But usually they will say, I want a 2 subinterval or 3 subinterval. What is 3 subinterval? So we're not, the midpoint, you're not using left or right. You use the middle of the 2 points. So in this case, I can only, the best approximation only I can do is 2 midpoint. A 2 midpoint is, so this is remember this is the blue one, this is the blue one, this is the left end. Do you remember that? Is using the blue, and the right end is using the pink, right? So what happened is we have 4 subintervals. In this case, we have 4 subintervals. But now we're gonna do 2 intervals. But 2 interval, which point I'm gonna use is the middle of the 2. So we're only gonna use this one and this one, because this is 1 interval and this is in the middle of the 2 intervals. So we figure what if we use the middle part will be a little bit better approximation. So then the fourth one is gonna be, the height is gonna be 10 now, right? And the width is gonna be what? What's the width of this interval? From here to here is what? 4, right? And a plus what? 3 times 4 again. So that's equal to 40. So this is 40, this is 52. So this is 52. You can actually evaluate all of them. I don't know what are all those, but you can evaluate all of them and you can figure out what they are. So this is called regular interval. Yes. 4 is the width of, because if you use the midpoint, I cannot use 4 because not enough data point for me to get 4 subinterval. I have to do 2 subintervals. So with midpoint, it's going to be half amount. So it's going to use 2 subintervals. So in 2 subinterval, I'm going to use the from 1 to 4 is a 1 rectangle. So the way draw is going to look like this. The way that this part of drawing is going to look like something like this midpoint. I know I need to use some clear color. So I'm going to use gray. So it's midpoint is going to be like this. And this one is going to midpoint is going to be like this. So a little bit over, a little bit under. So it's going to be, let me use blue then. Sure. Huh? Yeah. So Riemann sum is not difficult. Just count the area of a triangle, area of rectangle, or area of a trapezoid. Now, with that gonna say, I'm gonna give you a question, and I'll give you a second question with irregular interval. Irregular interval is gonna be different because each width are different. So you see, this one here is no longer always 2 if it's irregular, right? It depends on the x distance, how much the x distance is. So I'm going to give you a regular interval. So x and y, that says 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And we're going to call this f of x. And then we're going to say 11 and 8 and 4 and 9 and 12, something like that. And I say, hey, can you find left end Riemann sum? 2 right end, 3 trapezoid, and this is a 4 sub interval. Okay, 4 sub interval, 4 sub, 4 sub, 4 sub interval. Sorry, interval. Okay, so and then the fourth one, I'm gonna use it midpoint with 2 sub intervals.
Can the 4 sub integral change, or is it always 4 sub?
In this case, it's gonna be 4. So there's a 5 number here. They usually have 4 subintervals. Yeah, it's like if you plant a tree, right? So it's like plant a tree, like right here. There's a 5 trees, right? How many space in between? 4. So it's always a number minus 1. Today I'll give you a tables and I'll give you answers so that way you can see, okay, well, am I doing it correctly? So you have to evaluate it.